monitoring take? Because if it's just looking, if the monitoring here just means looking, then what you're seeing is pretty much the same in either case. Yeah. It's like if you intended it. Yeah. So the thing is, just intention on its own won't do it, because the motor instruction here is like your intention. Yep. So if you intended the bodily movement, well, that's fine. But then the question is, how do you know about your intentions? Yeah, there's nothing there that is getting your intentions. So Frith's picture is, when you generate a movement, this is not just Frith, this is lots of people. This is a classic idea in biology going back about 60, 70 years now. When you send an instruction to one of your limbs to move, you also send off a copy of that instruction to central monitoring. So you've got a bit in your brain, central monitoring. When you look at your arm movement, then you say to central monitoring, hey, my arm moved. Now, central monitoring, they say, hey, was that one of ours? And if they find there a copy of the instruction to make that arm movement, then it will feel to you like that was your arm movement. You see what I mean? You see how that would work? It's like if you're a big company, if you're going to buy something from a store, you send something else to central office saying, I'm going to buy something. Yeah, then at central office, when they get the request from the store, they say, oh yeah, that's one of ours, that's one of our orders. So you don't just send off the instruction, you send off a copy of the instruction. And then the way it works is that at central monitoring, they say, yeah, that was one of ours. That seems kind of abstract, but actually that's really key to being able to act in a well-coordinated way. Just as you sit here, your eyes are moving the whole time. So you've got a problem as to when is it that a change in the visual scene is because of your head moving. If you move your head like this, it doesn't at all seem like the whole room is shunting left or right. So how do you know that's what's going on? How do you know that you do that? This is your head moving and not the room moving? Well, only because back at central monitoring, they're saying, oh yeah, there was a head movement planned there. So that movement of the whole room there, that wasn't the room moving, that was just the head moving. Or if people are equipped with prisms, if they make you wear prisms that shift everything a few inches to the left, then people are very clumsy at first. But within a couple of days, they learn to operate perfectly well. So you learn how to calibrate your own actions using a system like this, that you issue an instruction over at central monitoring, you can compare that instruction to what actually happened, and you can say, oh no, I moved too far to the left there, or I moved too far to the right, and you can correct your actions, because at central monitoring, they're feeding back and saying, next time, move it a bit more to the left. And that's, I guess, is what happens when you're growing up. Your body size is changing the whole time. You have to keep recalibrating. You go through phases of being clumsy. And it's this system that is letting you keep your movements calibrated. But now, suppose something went wrong with that mailing system that sends off a copy of the instruction to move the arm. What would happen then? Yeah? It feels like you're what? You're not in control. Yeah. Because what's going to be happening is that you move your arm. You intend to move your arm, all right. You do move your arm. The arm moves, but it doesn't feel like it's you that initiated it, because you don't have that copy of the instruction back at central monitoring. And that is another symptom of schizophrenia, that sense of possession. You're making mistakes about who's causing the bodily movements. That's particularly common for speech. So here's a typical report from a patient. The force moved my lips. I began to speak. The words were made for me. You're the ones initiating the speech. There's nobody else around doing that. But this complex vocal activity, it doesn't feel like you initiated it, because you're not getting a copy of the instruction at central monitoring. A 29-year-old shorthand typist described her actions as follows. When I reach my hand for the comb, it is my hand and arm which move, and my fingers pick up the pen, but I don't control them. I sit there waiting for it, wanting them to move, and they are quite independent. What they do is nothing to do with me. I am just a puppet who is manipulated by cosmic strings. When the strings are pulled, my body moves, and I can't prevent it. So could we give an explanation like that for that feeling of having thoughts pushed into your head? So this is the structure here. We've got the motor instruction to perform the movement. You mail off a copy of the motor instruction, and then back at central monitoring. This is what was meant by that stamping mechanism. If there's match at the monitor of the limb movement and the instruction, you say, that was one of mine. If there isn't match, you say, someone else made me do that. So the way it would go there is, you have a motor instruction to think a conscious thought. You find it, you look inside your mind, you say, hey, there's that conscious thought. Kill God. You say, did I think that? Well, you look over at central monitoring. Did I get a copy of the instruction to think that thought? Well, for a schizophrenic, that mailing system is not working. So it's going to feel like someone else took possession of your mind, pushed that thought into your head. You didn't make it. Yeah. Do they have freedom of will? Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Yeah. The situation is so strange. I mean, these are not like drug addicts or something. Yeah, it's partly, as I said earlier, this is so destabilizing of your ordinary picture of the world that it's very hard to have freedom in the sense that you don't really know what's going on. But there's another thing, which is, are these patients irrational? If you're irrational, then you don't have freedom of will. If you're not capable of reason, then you don't have freedom of will. Are these patients capable of reasoning? And on the one hand, they've just got something wrong with their brain, and they're doing their best to make sense of the situation. But what they've moved into is a world that is so alien to the ordinary common sense world that it's very hard to know what the rules are. I mean, take this patient that we started with, who had thoughts being carried by drops from her mother's unconscious onto the air conditioner, and then a crack being passed into her own conscious mind. How can you reason with that patient? Could you say, well, it's not really the air conditioner that does it. If you think about it, it's the lamp or the electrical sockets. I mean, how do you display rationality? Such a basic part of your thinking about our ordinary world has gone away that you have no idea what is rational to think. If people can push thoughts into your head, then what else is possible? What reasonably follows from that? What kind of world are you in? I think it's very hard to say that such a patient is rational, because you really are in a world where you don't know what the moves are. In a way, it's not their fault, because they may be completely rational to begin with, but given such unusual experiences, what to make of what is happening is very, very difficult. Yeah. Right. Well, you think, well, you sit down, you say in the morning, you say, I'm going to write an essay about free will, right? And you have this plan. I'm going to have some thoughts about free will. What's about that? I'm going to think free will is not possible. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's straightforward enough, right? Is that straightforward enough? The first time I heard this, I thought I never heard anything so daft. I mean, because for just the reason, the thing you're just touching on. Sorry, okay. I mean, how can you be having your thoughts as a result of a planned process? I mean, my thinking. I'm the CEO. I'm in charge. I do the thinking, right? If this picture is right, then surely the schizophrenic is actually correct because you're not in charge of what thoughts you have. Something else, your brain or something, is making you have those thoughts. I guess that's behind the free will thing too. If that's what's going on, then you're not deeply not in charge. Una? Yes. Yeah. My impression is it's about 10 years since I looked at this seriously, since I was up to date on it, but my impression is that the results are very patchy. That it's much more popular in Britain, I think, than here to have CBT for schizophrenia, where you ask patients to do exercises like if you think he's pushing thoughts into your head, or if you think, to take another delusion that patients have, your thoughts are being broadcast, then test it out, see how it happens. And patients will, in the short term, say, yeah, I tested it out, and you're quite right, that's not what's going on. But they tend to relapse. Yeah. So it's, you don't get there's not a clear-cut thing that it helps trying to give patients insight, but it seems to be pretty short-term and pretty patchy, and who does well with it. I mean, the thing is, the bit of your brain that lets you be rational, that's what's gone. Yeah. I mean, I began by asking, why would you have such a mechanism anyway to let you know which thoughts are yours and which aren't? I mean, one possibility would be maybe back in the Stone Age, people got into the habit of pushing thoughts into each other's minds. And maybe if your village was being attacked by people from the next village, they would push thoughts into your heads to your great detriment, so you desperately needed something to tell you, that's an alien thought. Yeah, and so we evolved to do that. That seems pretty unlikely. But then if you don't need a defense mechanism like that, then why would you have a stamper? Why do you need something to differentiate your thoughts from someone else's? That can't be what this is for. Well, I think a natural hypothesis, this was Feinberg's hypothesis, one of the inventors of this, is to keep your thoughts on track. Now, suppose you're trying to write an essay. I mean, one of the funny things about thinking is it's so difficult. Right? I mean, it's not just me, right? You sit down in the morning, you say, this morning I'm definitely going to write that essay. You're well fed, you're well rested, you've got everything you need right before you, the room is just at the right temperature, you stare out the window, you think about anything except the thing you're meant to be thinking about. Right? That's normal, isn't it? That's my mornings. That's normal. Thinking is really hard. Keeping your thoughts on track is really hard. So you might think of this as part of the problem there, that this is a kind of mechanism to keep your thinking on track. And you know, when you're talking, then sometimes you bite your lip, you cut yourself off, you start to swear or something, and I start to swear or something, and you stop yourself before you've really got through the word. It's not that you had to listen to yourself and say, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. That can happen too, that you watch it. But sometimes you're stopping the speech before it's even been said. And presumably what's happening there is that over at central monitoring, they're getting a copy of your plan. That's what I'm going to say. And at central monitoring, they're saying, for God's sake, stop, don't do it, right? So if I'm trying to think straight about some problem, then I could be I'm generating all these thoughts. And over at central monitoring, they're saying, wait a minute, that's a thought about Sally. Don't think about Sally. You know that always makes you upset. And trying to regulate thinking. There must be a way we must have a way of regulating thinking. Because after all, these essays do get written. You know, eventually we do manage it. It's hard to regulate your thinking, but we do regulate our thinking. And frankly, you guys wouldn't be here at all unless you had extremely well-regulated thinking, however hard it is. So just to see what I mean by not well-regulated thinking, here's a normal speaker. I'm attempting to describe one of four coloured discs. The normal speaker says, well, that's the lightest of the greens. The others become blue, like the ocean or the sea. Here's a schizophrenic speaker addressing the same question. Clean green, the one without the cream. Don't see this colour on planes. It looks like moss, boss. The schizophrenic speech has this kind of surreal, free associating kind of quality. With time and years, the individual becomes so lazy in public life that he is not even capable of writing anymore. On such a sheet of paper, one can squeeze many letters if one is careful not to transgress by one square shore. In such fine weather, one should be able to take a walk in the woods, naturally not alone, but with a girl. At the end of the year, one always renders the annual accounting. The sun is now in the sky, yet it is not yet 10 o'clock. I mean, people sometimes say to me, I don't really see where you're going with that idea, John, but this guy, there is no trajectory at all, right? I mean, it's not that you can't really see where he's going with it. It's just so clear, there's no question of a destination. That's called formal thought disorder, you have that kind of thing. This is completely deregulated thinking, yet there is nothing monitoring that at all. So a suggestion is that what's going on with the schizophrenic is that that system for keeping your thinking on track, that's what's failing, that's what's responsible for this formal thought disorder, and that's also what's generating the sensation of having alien thoughts inserted into you. So from the point of view of our class, part of the reason I go through this is, what kind of diagram is this, class? It begins with an F. It is a functionalist. Are there boxes and arrows in this diagram? Yes, there are boxes and arrows in this diagram. It is a functionalist diagram, right? Is this telling us something about the conscious experiences of the subject? Well, one interesting thing about it is that it is. It's also telling us something about the dopamine neurons. It's telling us what the dopamine neurons were doing. They were firing off these copies of the motor instructions. Yeah. So this is a way in which science could illuminate experience. You have these patients who have these very strange conscious lives, and the scientific functional account is telling you something about why. The thing is, does that make this something that you can understand genetically by empathy? Now at some level we do understand what's going on, but I think you still don't really get in there and understand genetically by empathy where the alien thoughts are coming from, because the patient themselves feels that this is something ununderstandable. Part of the experience is that this is just something incomprehensible happening to you. A different case is with salience neurons. There are other populations of dopamine neurons whose function seems to be to tell you, hey, look over there. And what happens with some patients is that these neuron systems go into overdrive. So what you've got is a whole bunch of alarm bells going off just as you look around. a classic case of a patient who looked at a row of empty marble tables in a cafe and became convinced that the world was coming to an end. And when you just read that, you think, well, I have no idea what was going on there. But when you get the neural explanation and you say, maybe their salience neurons were going into overdrive then, so in effect, you're looking at this innocent scene, and inside, every alarm bell in your body is going off, then that would be an unnatural thing to think. On that note, we'll pack it up for the term. We've gone through a lot this term, and you guys have been, what should I say, you've shown a great deal of stamina and a great deal of character in going through all this, and some of our exchanges are just taking my breath away.